Hey guys, what's going on? Josh here from Polymathics, the YouTube channel that helps you become a modern day Renaissance man. And today I'm working in my bed. but and I'm wearing my cool Spider-Man shirt. Da-na-na. Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Okay, so what am I doing today? What am I showing you guys? I wanted to really quick show you something that I've been working on. I am a co-founder. For some of you that are in the channel, you probably don't even know this. I'm the co-founder of an independent publishing company called Story Ninjas. And I haven't been broadcasting it very much because I've just been very busy doing that kind of stuff. But what I want to do today is kind of show you our site and be aware that the site is, I would say, 90 to 95%. So there might be some things that have to be tweaked, some little stuff, but overall, I think the site's come out pretty well. And the main thing I want to do is show you guys, one, the products that we have, but also two, the services that we can provide. Because I feel like for a lot of people who come and visit this channel, Polymathics, you know, the point of this channel is to help you become a modern day Renaissance man. But more than that, like the what is the subtext behind that mean? That means we're here to help you reach your full potential. And part of reaching your full potential, you got health, wealth, and happiness. Part of that paradigm of health, wealth, and happiness is the ability to communicate. Okay. And before I go any, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it right here. It's the ability to communicate, and that could be verbally, orally, like we're doing here on a webinar type thing, on a video type thing, or it could be in person, one-on-one speaking or to a group, and sometimes it's written communication. And for a lot of you guys out there, especially the ones who follow my Monomyth series and stuff like that, I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of you guys are writers, because that just makes sense that writers would be the ones who are interested in that kind of content. I too am a writer, which is why I was interested in it and learned about it in the first place and teach it. So the deal is, I'm going to show you our services, because I think some of the services might help you guys. And if anything, I just really want to show off this website because I'm super excited about it. Okay, so I'm going to do a screen share here. Screen share. All right, now you see infinity of my screen, and boom, here we go. So all you would do is type in www.ninjas.com. See it right there. Boom. Okay. It's going to redirect over here. Right now it's being hosted on my brother's site. We're going to switch it over in a little bit, but essentially Story-Ninjas is going to get you where you need to go. Now, here's our beautiful site. Oh, there are angels fluttering around, and the sun rays are gleaming on this site right now. Okay, so first thing, boom. If you need to contact us, just click here and it'll send an email. If you need to call us, boom, just call that number and it will probably ring to my phone, and if not, it'll send a voicemail, but I'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. Somebody will get back to you. All right, let's see here. So you can subscribe. That way you can get updates on products or services that we're providing. And here we have, not all, this is not an all-inclusive list, but several of our books that we've published. And then another contact form here. If clicking on this wasn't easy enough. And then this cool video that I had somebody do, boom, check this out. Story Ninjas, stories that pack a punch. Dun dun dun. And you can subscribe again if you want. Now, here's what I want to show you guys. This is the real thing. These are the services that we provide. Okay. Now, we believe that these services are best suited towards three types of individuals. You have your aspiring authors, and honestly, your regular authors. Like maybe you're someone that understands the craft. You understand narrative, you understand how to write a story, but you need help publishing it or editing it or marketing it. Well, we can help you do that. If you're an aspiring author, maybe you have a story but you don't know how to write it, we can help you do that too. Entrepreneur, CEO. This person is probably not going to do a fiction book. There's a chance they might do a creative nonfiction book or just a straight up nonfiction book. But these individuals, it's not that you couldn't write a book or you don't know how. A lot of times it's that these people don't have a lot of time to write a book. But the benefit, actually, I'll talk about the benefits here in like 2 seconds. Okay, third type of people, small businesses. Small businesses, kind of similar to these two, but you know, maybe there's a group of you rather than just a one-man show type deal. But the main thing is you have a brand or you have a product or you have a unique process that you want to capture in a product that's like a book or a pamphlet, so that you can provide it to customers or prospective clients and things like that. So for each of these individuals, the main pro, I mean, there's tons of pros here that I could go into, but the main thing is you are creating a product of your own. And it does, I mean, actually there are so many pros to this. It's, you know, first thing is it gives you authority and credibility in that space. If you're trying to build a brand, it helps build a brand and develop that brand. If you have, like I said before, for a lot of small businesses, if you have a unique process or service that you provide, the one that I can think of off the top of my head, I don't even know why, I don't even know if this exists, but it's one that I would buy from, is if you say you're a bakery and the unique service you provide is like you can do Lord of the Rings cupcakes or Star Wars cupcakes, or you know, I don't know, Marvel themed birthday cakes, something like things like that, super cool things. You could explain this. You could either explain the process of doing that so that someone could do it at home and you could make it into a book or a product, or you could show all the different cool products and unique items that you can do in a book, right? You could do recipes, and that's just bakery. I mean, maybe you are we could take the same idea, geeky stuff, right? And then switch it over to like you're a wedding planner. So you plan weddings for people who do geeky things, or nerdy things. I mean, like it doesn't have to be that. I'm just showing you guys, like that's an example. For the entrepreneur, a lot of times this is your special message, right? Your book is about your special message. And let's think about this, like, and I'm just gonna think about like, you know, entrepreneurs whose books I've read. If you think about Tim Ferriss, his special message is basically like, you can have a 4-hour work week. You can live the life that you want on your terms while still making money and being a contributing member to society. Let's see, Joanna Penn, she's got some great books about, you know, how to transition from the workforce, the corporate world, into like the writing world, into being a writer yourself. And Tony Robbins, I mean, yeah, like a staple of being an entrepreneur and CEO is really having a book, and sometimes multiple books. And this does a couple different things. You could offer your services in this book. You could explain like that special message that we were talking about that we said before. You can use it as a lead generating magnet. Like let's say you are in the real estate field and you buy and sell real estate or something like that. You write a book about how to do it, and now you've created authority. And the more books you have on that, the more authority you have. the more credibility, especially if you're hitting on topics that people are interested in, that provide value to your prospective clients and customers and the community in general. And power lifters, you know, I'm a power lifter myself, so when I think of this, I think of Mark Bell or Stan Efferding, among many others, Barbell Brigade. These are people who have taken their CEOs in a specific field that have taken what they do and they've branded it, and they've created. For Mark Bell, I don't think he's done a book, but he's done similar things with. He has like products that he sells that are very unique to what he does, the slingshot and things like that. If you write a book, this book is going to be very unique to who you are and what you do as an entrepreneur. And a lot of times this can help you. This can open doors that you might not have. For example, like you can start going to conferences and like you can go to meetings and groups and all this other stuff. You can give speeches, you can give classes, courses, all that stuff. And then authors, aspiring authors. We kind of talked about this before. When I first started doing this, I actually didn't focus on these two groups. When we discussed this initially, it really was, we were looking at aspiring authors, because I believe that a lot of people go around and they have stories in their minds. They could be personal anecdotes that happened to them, you know, when they were like in the military or overseas, or when they were young or something like that. And they want to get these things written down. Or they could be a fictional story that's like completely like, you know, fantasy with fairies and goblins or maybe they're sci-fi, right? But a lot of times these people don't know how to tell a story. They haven't been educated properly. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. This is one that stays with me every day. My grandmother, she lived to be about, I want to say 65, somewhere between 65 or 70. She died when I was younger, so I don't remember the exact age. But the last few years of her life, she was in a wheelchair. And she was a very resilient woman despite all of the things that had happened to her. The one thing that I remember, though, that really sticks out with relation to this is she was always telling me about the story that she wanted to write. It was kind of a love story. And she had made a couple attempts to write it in like a, you know, a 3-ring binder on college ruled paper, but it just never really came together because my grandmother, while she had the story in her mind, she did not have the proper tools or education to get that onto the paper. And, you know, when I look back, I really feel like that's a loss of her legacy. And I wish that back then I knew what I know now. Back then I didn't know how to tell stories either. I didn't really understand how the process went and what went into creating a good story and not running into writer's block and all this other stuff. But it's like, if I could only go back and help her so that she could share her story with the world, so that there's a piece of legacy there for her and her children and her grandchildren, you know, like I just wish I could have done that. And I feel like now I have this ability, and like all of us here at Story Ninjas have this ability to provide this service, and it would be a lack. It would be irresponsible on our part to not provide this to other people. So here I am ranting on about all this stuff. Here are the services that we provide. Now, I'm not going to read them out to you. You guys can read them. You can go on the site and check them out. But they fall into 4 main categories. The first category is brainstorming, right? We can help you brainstorm how to do your book. We can help you outline it and, you know, come up with some basic ideas, the direction you want to go, roadmap it, and stuff like that. The second piece is, some of you may have a story or most of a story and just need it edited. Or maybe you need triage, which means like, we go in, we diagnose where the problems are, and then we set to work and say, okay, this is what needs to be beefed up, this is what needs to be fixed, this was what can be removed. And some of you guys, that's all you'll need. The third thing that that someone might want, pardon me, oh my gosh, I've got something stuck in my throat. Holy cow, went down the wrong pipe. Okay, the third thing, the third type of service that we provide is basically publishing. So we can help you publish your book on various different media. Now, of course, our bread and butter and the easiest one for us is Kindle, a Kindle book. However, we're not limited to Kindle. Of course, through Kindle, we can do paperback books, but we can also do things like Barnes & Noble and iTunes, and we can also do stuff like Audible. And it really depends on what you want to do, and we could even set up a couple different game plans depending on your long-term vision for your project, and that's really up to you. Now, the final thing, the final category that all of these different services fall into is marketing, and actually that's like right here, marketing. And basically what that marketing is we will help you get the right people to look at your book. And I know for some people, all right, for example, if we go back to up to the three types of people that I believe our services are best helped provide the most value to, normally a CEO or a small business they'll have a pretty good idea of who their customer is and who they want to sell to. And maybe you guys don't need help with the marketing, but sometimes you may want it just because some of the best marketing tools are actually on Amazon in regards to the digital books. And if you're not familiar with that area, we can do what might take, I don't know, a new person 3 hours or 2 hours. We can do it in like 30 minutes, or maybe less, depending. So it really depends on what you're looking at. The other thing I'll say is that for aspiring authors, a lot of times these are very creative people, and I'm not hating on them or throwing shade. The real reason I'm saying this is because I myself fall into this category more than the others in some ways. A lot of aspiring authors, and I'm not talking about authors because many authors have already kind of been down this road, but aspiring authors, all they think about is their story and how fun it's going to be to write and how amazing it's going to be, and there's going to be like rainbows and butterflies and unicorns after you write it. And while there is that momentary feeling of like, oh my God, I finally finished this thing, what they don't even realize is that you may have poured in years or months of your life into this book, but if you don't know how to market it, nobody's going to see it. And if nobody sees it, did you really provide value to anybody? Are you really sharing your story with anybody? And that's what we're there to help you with. We're there to try to help you market your book and put it in front of people who would enjoy it, who would want to look at it and read it and things like that. Now, what you don't see right now, because we're working on them, but they will be coming in a month or two, is we're also going to provide a couple courses. Now, courses are a little bit different than our services. The services is, you got here, I'll even show you one. So like, let's say you want us to help you outline and structure your book. Oh, yeah. So you click on Get in Touch, and here, I say, okay, this is what we do for outlining. And then I say, like, leave us a message here and write us down the specific things about your story as detailed as you can, so we can sit down and have a consultation with you. Now, this consultation is basically, it's going to be a conversation. This isn't some like corporate meeting where we get on and we have this huge agenda. dude, this is going to be us sitting down and saying, all right, how can we help you do this? Okay. And we'll discuss various options. You know, sometimes it's a matter of what is the word count of your project. Maybe you don't, maybe you're so unfamiliar with how this process works, you don't even know what word count your book would be. So we'll sit down with you and we'll talk to you. We'll be like, okay, you know, a short story fits in this kind of category, and a you know, a novella is this, or if you're doing a book on a project, you know, how big is that project? Should it be? We'll help you kind of figure all of that out, make sure that it comes to a price point that we all agree on. And here's the thing, if after we do this 15-20 minute conversation, you say, hey, Josh or Story Ninjas, whoever you're talking to, you say, hey, you know what? I don't think I can do this right now, or this isn't working. Hey, no harm, no foul. We're glad that you considered us, and we hope you continue to consider us later if it does become like, it's not a big deal. If the least it does for you is now you have an offer, or I mean a proposal. So you could go to someone else and you could say, hey, Story Ninjas proposed me this. Can you give us a better proposal or price? Or you'll have an idea of like the how much it will cost you both time-wise and finance-wise versus how much it will cost you to do it on your own. And that's a very important thing that I want to talk about, and then I'll kind of wrap on this. I know this is kind of getting long, but for people who are considering using services like this, where we do a lot of the work for you or we work with you, the other thing to consider, and I only know this from personal experience, is sometimes having someone else do your stuff is not the right way to go. And you guys are probably like, why would you tell me that, Josh? Your services are here to help us to basically do it for us. Like, that's how you would make money. And while that's true, my main goal isn't to make money here. My main goal is to help you get your story out. It's one of the core beliefs that all of us here at Story Ninjas have, is that every person has a story to tell. And we believe that the more stories that get told from a place of true passion, true desire, true earnesty, we believe that that is our way of helping your gift get out into the world. And ultimately, we believe that that is going to help society in a big way. That's like our you know, that's what we've brainwashed ourselves into thinking. Like, that's our deep inner beliefs about this work that we do. So it would be very unfair of me to try to tell you that it's good for you to have other people do your work. Now, sometimes it is. If you are not good at editing, like me, I'm terrible at editing, you need an editor. If you are not good at outlining, then find somebody who will help you outline. You know, like that part makes sense. But what I'm saying is, say you're a CEO and you have a very specific topic that your book is about, a message that you have. Simon Sinek has this message about start with why, right? If you have something like that that's that specific, you may never be able to convey to us, or anyone for that matter, how to write that book. That may squarely fall upon your shoulders. But I have good news. If you're someone who doesn't have the time or doesn't have the capabilities to write a book like that, that doesn't mean that you just can't write a book. What that means is, instead of us writing the book for you, we can show you and walk you through the process and give you practically a step-by-step guide, so that while you're writing, you know where to go. You can feel confident that you're doing the same thing a professional would do, and that you know that in the end you're going to have the right tools, right? And that, you know, so we are developing products right now that will be coming out in a month or two And there will be courses that will walk someone through that process. Now, the same thing could be said about a fiction book as well. Many times, someone will have a really great idea, they're able to outline it and stuff, and then they give it to a ghostwriter. And the ghostwriter will send you back. It's like they were talking to someone else. It's almost like they got a request from someone completely different and then turned that into you rather than your book. And that can be a very difficult situation to do. And I know this because some projects that I've worked on, that we've all worked on, have had that happen before. Now, sometimes that helps, because sometimes you just need a rough draft, right? So say you turn it into the ghostwriter and then they come back and they're like, you know, here's the rough draft, and it's not quite what you're looking for. Maybe it's completely wrong. There are some ways to salvage that, but sometimes it's better, because sometimes you're like, oh, I see what's wrong with this, and this is how I would write it. And that's just the catalyst you need to go from I'm not a writer or I can't write this to I'm writing this now. Because, for example, there's someone, I don't want to name names, but someone who I'm really close with, they had a very similar situation. They submitted to a ghostwriter. The ghostwriter wrote them, like, I don't know, 10 or 20,000 word project. And when it came back, it was nowhere near what they wanted. But what they found was there was a lot of parts that they could salvage. And the parts that weren't right, they weren't off by much. They just needed a little tweak here, a little tweak there. And in the process of making those tweaks and edits and stuff, what really ended up happening was this very, like, a very solid story that the person was very proud of happened. And because they ended up tweaking all of that stuff, they I don't want to say they rewrote it, but they wrote almost as much, or if not more, than the ghostwriter did. And by doing so, they felt much more confident in their work and much more prouder in their work. So here I am. I'm like rambling on. I'm not even talking about the site anymore. Here's the site, guys. I'm glad you guys get to see it. Here, I'll stop sharing. I'll go back to me for a minute here. Okay, so now that I've like totally ranted, you know, those are the things that writers go through. And I think a lot of people, especially the people who fall into those categories that we just saw on the website, a lot of people don't realize the immense troubles and problems that writers go through in order to get what's in here onto into a project that is published and then distributed to people, and getting it distributed to people. I mean, there's just so many moving pieces. And if you fall into one of those three categories, there's a good chance that you either don't have the time, tools, or education to get your project either on its feet or finished in the timeline that you're looking for. And so rather than you know, trying to learn it all yourself, which it takes years to do, or trying to you know, jumble something together and just throw shit on the wall and see if it works, which is also not a good idea. Let us help you. And like I said, you know, the consultation is free. Nobody's going to be upset if you're like, this doesn't work for me, or I'd like to go check somewhere else first. Like, cool, right? We're just glad to talk to you. A lot of times it's cool to hear what other people are doing. You know, as writers ourselves, it is, you know, sometimes you get so locked into what you're doing that you forget that, like, there's this whole other world of people that are doing really cool, interesting things as well. So I hope this helps you guys. I'm really excited to show you guys the site. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the link below, and I'll try to get to them. If you guys, you know, please visit the site and continue to visit the site. We're babies in terms of that website, right? And over the course of the next few months, we'll be developing more stuff, putting more products up on there. And I really think it's what our main goal is, for it to become a repository of information and products that you guys can use to reach your goals, to reach your full potential. And I'm going to try to close again because I started and then I went into this. If you like the video, give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed and you would like to subscribe because you like videos like this, please subscribe and you'll get more videos like this. And of course, if you know somebody that could benefit from a video like this, please share this video with them. Till next time, take it easy, guys.